Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We are going to be doing a 12 volt conversion on this beautiful 1951 Mercury. Now, of course, on 12 volt conversion, you need to change all the light bulbs, the headlights, blinkers, if you have any under hood lights or tail lights, license plate lights, literally every single light bulb. The 6 volt bulbs will work, will be very bright for a very short time. So they're just going to blow up. It's not going to take very long for them to blow out. So make sure you replace all the light bulbs front to back. The awesome part is Vintage Auto Garage sells a kit. You just tell them what car you have. They'll give you every single light bulb you need for that car. Headlights, blinkers, dash lights, everything, which is awesome. They also have light bulb conversions to LEDs, so you can figure out very easily which LED bulbs you want. Like for the cluster, oh, it is nice having LED bulbs for the cluster, nice and bright, easy to see at nighttime. Anybody who's driven a 6 volt car can tell you just how dim headlights are, how dim the dash lights are. Stuff like that is nice to upgrade when you're doing this type of conversion. Now let's talk about your 12 volt conversion and your starter. Now on a flathead Ford, the starter will take 6 volts. It'll take the upgraded 8 volts, which I don't like to do, and it also will take 12 volts. Now the caveat to that is the higher voltage is going to hit harder on the starter. It doesn't need to rewound. It's going to spin the same direction no matter if you're doing positive ground or negative ground. It's about the windings on the starter is the direction that it's going to spin. So changing the polarity changes nothing when it comes to the starter. The voltage, on the other hand, the flathead Ford starter will take the 12 volts. The important caveat to that is it's harder on the starter. So if you have an old, worn out starter and it's just making it work with 6 volts, you put a 12 volts to it, it might reduce its lifespan. In the next 2 months, it might go out. You have a nice, healthy starter, it'll be fine for years. I have starters that have lasted a decade on a very daily driven vehicle. And I've had old, worn out vehicles when I'm doing a 12 volt conversion, the starter goes out in the next month or so. So it's going to hit harder. The life of your starter is important. You can get it rebuilt, shipped out and rebuilt. You could just buy a new Power Master, which is pretty nice too, but we all really love the sound of a flathead starter. It's just one of those unique things. So it's something to consider. Just run it, see how it goes. Most of the time it's okay, but again, if it's an old, worn out starter, it hitting harder can make it go out faster.
So this is the horn relay. They also need to be converted from 6 volt to 12 volts. And I usually just like to transfer the wires over. That's what I'm doing here. Then I transfer it over onto the firewall itself. Now, never be afraid to ohm your wires, especially when your battery's already disconnected. I did ohm my wire, the battery wire, the one that's labeled battery, to the battery cable to make sure it was actually the correct wire and there wasn't any resistance in it. So when you're doing these conversions, definitely feel free to ohm all of your connections and make sure the wires are going actually where they're supposed to be going. If you have any questions like that, just shoot them in the comments and I can help you out.
All right, so I'm really excited to show you guys this. This is a blower motor voltage reducer. This is really important to your 12 volt conversion or just using original equipment on your restoration or modification. All amperages are not equal. You do not want to use this on the gauges. You don't want to use one of your gauges voltage reducers on the blower motor. You need something specific to what it's going to be doing. This is exactly what you need for the blower motor on something like this. It has this nice aluminum housing with the fins on here. You want to keep this away from any heat source, so we don't want to put this next to the headers, but we also don't want to keep it in a bundle of wires or in a tight area. It needs an area to breathe. The way that these actually reduce voltage is through heat. So they're going to get warm, but not super hot. But make sure you put this in a well-ventilated area. This is going to go low on the firewall, but away from the headers, so it's going to get all the wind coming in and out, cool it down. All right, so what we have here is our relay from Vintage Auto Garage. This is for headlights or horn. Really, it's a generic relay kit, but what they do give you is a wiring diagram of how to hook it up. Makes this install really easy, real simple. Now, these original 6-volt cars, the headlights and horns didn't have a relay, and a lot of times the horns didn't even have a fuse. So keep that in mind while you're rewiring your car for 12 volts. Now, they have a wiring diagram. What it's going to do is show you how to interrupt the headlight switch and get the power off the switch itself and put the power into the relay. So we need to interrupt the power that goes to the dimmer switch. Now, I'm not rewiring this car. I'm just upgrading it to 12 volts. We could spend a bunch of time figuring out how this wiring harness is supposed to be, looking up wiring diagrams and following and tracing wires. But for me, it's easier if I just ohm it. So the power needs to be disconnected and our wires need to be disconnected. And I'm kind of cheating because I already know which wire it's supposed to be. But I disconnected the wire that goes to the headlight switch, the high and low beam selector switch. And I know this one runs to the headlights. And I know this one runs to the high beams because it has a high beam indicator going back to the dash. It is good practice to retrace your wires to figure out where they're going and what they're connected to, because these cars are just so old, so many different modifications and rewirings could have been done in their lifetime. I like to be 100% certain. So I have my ground here on what I know is the power in wire. It's disconnected because if it's connected, it would not work with this ohm meter. All right, next, what you want to do is disconnect your wires from the headlight switch. I highly recommend you take a bunch of pictures before you do this and or label the wires so you know where they used to go so you don't get it mixed up and create extra work for yourself. I am also cheating again through experience. I remember which wire is the connecting wire from the headlight switch to the high beam. What we want to do is ohm these, disconnected of course, and my ohm meter makes a noise when there's continuity. So you can hear it beeping, maybe you can't in the video, I'm not sure. But it's beeping right now, telling me that there's continuity here. This is the wire that we need to break and put our relay on right here. Have a boo-boo. Here's our instructions from Vintage Auto Garage that thoroughly explain how you're going to make this interruption on this wire. So you can see our power coming from the headlight switch, flipping our relay. It's grounding. Our power source coming through the power source of the relay that's built to handle the amps for the headlights. Pretty easy setup. Is the multi-gauge voltage reducer. This is going to reduce the 12 volt in down to 3 6-volt outputs. Then it needs to be grounded. This thing gets warm, so it needs to be somewhere where it can breathe, just like any voltage reducer, but this one is specific to gauges. I like that it gives us 3 outputs because sometimes the fuel gauge needs to be reversed to be accurate. Some people have electric fuel gauges, all sorts of stuff, so it's nice to have a little versatility on how it's hooked up. It's not just one wire coming out. A lot of these gauges are already bust, like there's brass connecting the two power points on the different gauges. So a lot of them you only need to hook up one. Some of them you need to hook them up all individually so you can reverse the polarity. So this is kind of a trial and error. I usually just hook it up. If it's getting 6 volts out, the gauge is safe and protected. So if it reads backwards from where it did before the 6-volt conversion, all you gotta do is just flip it around.
So here we are underneath the dash. We did not rewire this car. This is good original wires or older wiring harness. And what I'm showing you here is our voltage gauge reducer and our relay. We put a really nice ground on the column. I did ohm this ground. I ohm all of my grounds to make sure there's good connection to everything in the car. So always check your grounds. And I put my voltage reduced wires as yellow because they're ignition switched. So they're easy to see what's been added. I just try to make everything serviceable, easily visible. I'm going to tie some more of these wires up a little bit tighter and nicer, after I get everything wired in. But put your relay in a good location and make sure your voltage reducer is in a ventilated area. All voltage reducers create a certain amount of heat.
Here is our original overdrive solenoid that we'll be replacing. 2 bolts, 2 wires, and it needs to slightly spin to come out, and I'll show you that. Ooh, this thing needs to be cleaned up.
One thing that always gets overlooked is this overdrive solenoid. So here we're taking it off, spin it clockwise to get it off. Expect a little bit of oil to come out. Make sure you refill this after putting this back in and adding some silicone just to give it a little bit better of a seal. These old transmissions and motors love to leak. Let's not give them any more reasons.
So look how beautiful this dash is on this Mercury. Here is our overdrive, and it pulls in and out its cable that's connected to the overdrive on the end of the transmission. Common misconception is that you need to function that, move this while driving. Okay, you leave this in. You do not need to pull it out when you want to go into overdrive. There's a centrifugal force that spins in the overdrive. It engages it and disengages itself. So you want to leave it in unless you're going to park on a steep hill. Then you pull it out to make sure this is not going to freewheel, and it'll actually stay in gear and park on a steep hill. Otherwise, you do not need to touch this overdrive or engage it while driving. I requested from them to get a black alternator, just so it's a little bit more subdued. This still has the flathead in it, so it's original drivetrain. And for me, the idea was to run the black alternator, GM modern style 1-wire alternator. I love these because if you're going to have to run an alternator, more affordable than a PowerMaster, but it's not this big gaudy cast aluminum alternator that just looks gross. I think the black ones look way better. So be mindful of how the coils wired up. We got 2 wires coming in. Could be tack and ignition wire. On this one though, I don't think there's a tack. Then the ground. The ground is going to the distributor. So when we hook the ground up for the 12 volt, it's going to be going to the distributor the same way. Now as you're doing your 12 volt conversion, you need to be checking your spark plug wires. This one is suppression core opposed to copper core. So something to know, especially if you're changing the ignition out for Petronics. You cannot run copper core wires. You have to run suppression core, which thankfully that's what this one already has. So we're just like anything else, we're going to unscrew these and reconnect the 12 volt coil opposed to the 6 volt coil that's on here right now. Ooh, Napa. No external resistor required. Now that's a good point. A lot of these have a ballast resistor on the firewall or underneath the steering column or high up next to the fuse box, a glass fuse box. So you need to be checking all those locations to make sure our supplied power is not already going through the harness's ballast resistor. So these older cars had standalone ballast resistors inside the car a lot of times. So double check for that. All right, we have a starter solenoid. Now this is really important to get these starter solenoids because it allows you to keep using the push button on the dash. So this is really important. Get your starter solenoid from Vintage Auto Garage. Keep your push button on your dash. Did you get that on camera? That's really nice. People love when you sneeze really loud into the microphone.